Most of the people who are going to be trying to get their exes back are going to fail, but they're not failing for the reasons they think they are. See, a lot of times what people will do is when they fail to get an ex back, they put the blame on things outside of themselves. My ex won't talk to me. My ex did this. The relationship just had too much going against it for it to work. But that's not what I've seen. You see, the truth is most people have a misunderstanding of one singular basic principle. And that principle is you need to learn to be with yourself first before you're going to be with your ex. And what does that mean? All right, so before I filmed this video today, I went for a run. And I did something that I normally don't do. I went for as long as I possibly could. Now, I live in Florida currently, and right now it's known as the rainy season. So pretty much every single day around 2 or 3 p.m., it starts to rain. Usually the rain doesn't last all day. It's kind of like a shower here or there, but I started my run. Now, I am a fiend for using music when I run. So I go on this run. And I'm feeling really, really good. It looks like there's going to be a thunderstorm that's coming, and I'm thinking to myself, I just need to go get my run in before the rain hits. But I was feeling so good, I kept going. I kept going and going and going until the actual thunderstorm hit. And I don't know, it just motivated me to go more and longer and longer and longer. Next thing I know, I'm literally running on the side of the freeway. I know, insane. Right? And it's just pouring rain and my music dies. My iPod broke, basically, or my headphones did. So I'm running, I put the headphones up, and I think to myself, maybe it's time to turn around. And that's when something interesting happened. Normally, when you run with music, it's a perfect distraction so that you don't have to be with yourself. When you're running with no music, you are forced to battle your mind. And your mind, especially on really long, punishing, exhausting runs, is going to be trying to get you to do one singular thing. It wants you to quit. It wants you to stop. It wants you to walk. It will do everything in its power to prevent you from completing this run. And so, without my music to distract me, I was left battling my mind for 6 miles going the other way. And for 6 miles, I put off battling my mind. It got to the point where multiple times I literally thought to myself, I need to stop. This is getting dangerous. What happens if this occurs? What happens if this occurs? And I'm sweating and it's raining and it's just going crazy. I'm thinking to myself, my God, I'm gonna have to go get a new iPod now. What am I gonna do tomorrow? I just need to stop. We need a break, Chris. Slow down, stop. And I battled my mind until I finished. And I bring this story up because this is the key component I think most of the people fail when it comes to getting their exes back. They fail when it comes to battling their own mind. You see that pesky voice in the back of your head at some point when you break up with your ex or your ex breaks up with you is gonna come up and it's gonna tell you lies. It will lie to you and tell you everything possible to get you to fail this process. I absolutely need to get my ex back. I cannot live without my ex. What if they find someone better than me? And the funny part about this is it's all based in fear. You're scared that you're going to fail to get your ex back. The irony behind this ridiculous voice in the back of your head is that it's lying to you. You have already failed to try to get your ex back. You are in a situation where you are broken up. The very worst thing that can happen to you is you being in the exact situation you are in now. You're just afraid to confront that reality. You're afraid to be with yourself. You seek validation from your ex. You're giving your ex power over you. And the people who fail to get their exes back lose this battle. A lot of times people think, well, it's because I didn't say the perfect thing, or it's because I broke no contact too early, which is an indication that you are failing this internal battle with your mind. Most of the time, people who fail to get their exes back just suck at having discipline. And that is the simple fact most people overlook. You need to stop caring what your ex thinks about you. You need to stop caring what others think about you. Think of it like this. If people compliment you, you're gonna feel like $1,000,000. If they insult you, you're gonna feel depressed. You're actually giving these people, random strangers, power over you, the power to determine how you feel. You'll often hear me talk about the ungettable girl and what separates the ungettable girl from the other type of people. And it's the simple fact that they don't care what anyone thinks. They have their plan. They're sticking to it. They're going to do it because, believe me, people are going to try to convince you that what you're trying to do is stupid. Look in some of the YouTube comments that I get with you get these random strangers who pop in and say, why would you ever want to get an ex back? This is the dumbest idea. That's not going to work. The irony is these people, 99% of the time, think it's easier to criticize others because they haven't really accomplished anything in their own lives, and it makes them feel better to criticize others for their own ambitions. Someone who is ungettable, someone who has moved past what those people think, sticks to their goals and has extreme discipline. They are excellent at basically taking the soul of their mind because their mind is going to constantly be trying to badger them and prevent them from finishing a no contact rule and doing things like that. People who are ungettable are the definition of mental strength. They have such strong mental strength, nothing can break them. In fact, it gets to the point where they are so ridiculously strong with their mental strength that they don't even care about trying to get their ex back. It almost becomes a game to them. Can I get my ex back? You know what? I don't care if I can, but hey, I'm gonna try it this way. And if it doesn't work, screw up. I don't care. That's the kind of attitude you need to have if you're gonna win this process. But you see, I think the hidden key that most people never really want to talk about is the fact that people who have this really strong mental strength are really great at creating momentum and sustaining the momentum. Michael Phelps was interviewed a few years ago, and they were actually asking him about his training routine and what set him apart from other people that were also professional swimmers. And he said something interesting. In 5 years, he never missed 1 day of training. And his philosophy was that when you miss 1 day of training, it takes 2 days to catch back up to where you were. And that's kind of how we're noticing successful people are. They're so stringent about creating and sustaining the momentum that once that momentum is sort of in, it becomes this natural process where it's almost like this daily routine where they work on their holy trinity, or they do whatever they need to do to accomplish whatever kind of goals they have to have. And ultimately, this creates and becomes a self-fulfilling process where they oftentimes are so confident with themselves that they just stop caring what others think, including their exes. A lot of times, we're noticing people who just don't care what their exes think and just are doing everything they're doing for them end up having better results. Perhaps the greatest irony behind everything I'm talking about here is I have not talked one thing about any type of external strategy to try to win your ex back. As a YouTuber, oftentimes I've noticed we've become slaves to the YouTube algorithm. We're trying to say or give advice that is going to be what people want. The clickbait titles like, the 10 text messages that guarantee a response from your ex. But what I've noticed is those kind of videos, while they do garner lots of views and people do like those type of videos, it's not really what matters. It's not really what wins an ex back. I would take someone with the mental fortitude that I'm talking about here over someone who is a clever texter 100% of the time. Why? Because in the end, 99% of the process is internal. It's the one thing you have full control over. You have no control over how your ex is going to respond. You have no control on if your ex is going to respond. And most of the time what I've noticed is that even if you have a really poor texting game, you can still achieve incredible results as long as you have the mindset that I'm talking about here. Now, why? Well, that's because something is different. Your ex starts noticing there's a new swagger to the way you're texting them. And that's ultimately because you simply don't care if they're gonna respond. You've essentially put yourself as your first priority and put your ex as your third, fourth, or fifth priority. And that reordering of priorities in and of itself is enough to keep your ex's attention, because all of a sudden you are a new person to them. So what's stopping you?